So now to bring a bit of settlement, or should I say closure, to some of the things that, basically the limitations of psychology. Uh, Now, if we are to, in my humble opinion, because I appreciated and enjoyed and made use of religion first, and then moved on to psychology. Just how you first, hey, how do they call it over here, bed mass. So you got, the order of operations of mathematics, basic mathematics, for that matter. So, um, of course, you're going to be disappointed if you're going to take everything with a grain of salt and, in the same sense, ignore the laws of science. And I'm talking the basic ones, the ones that uh, are very difficult to try to change. And if you do change them, you're not actually changing them, you're adding uh, or using in a different environment altogether, in a different plane, so it works differently. Uh, so on that matter, might as well have a booster. So how can I begin? I would say it is very humbling and disappointing how it is very important for specific individuals. We won't think about the types of traits and behaviors they might have because it's not apparent, and the covert nature that they go about partaking in anything that they partake doesn't tell an entire story, and they're not an open book, no matter how secret they are. It's gotten to the point where some people, I think, they would actually have more mystery and secrecy and so on and so forth if they actually come forward and, you know, but hey, that's just my, you know, somewhat intelligent way of looking at things. So, the limitations that I've noticed with psychology, and you can apply almost the same thinking to religion and so on and so forth, is where if you try to look at behavior traits, for example, in terms of psychology, first of all, I need to mention how there is different um, classifications in terms of the people that have been doing the work. This is why it's considered a pseudoscience. Um, in terms of accepted that it's pseudo because of that reason being, you can't genuinely reproduce the same, should I say, produce the same, first of all, environment that you could, say, for example, what do they call it? Like in a vacuum, in a vac, in a vacuum. So it's that instead of saying on the outer, um, outside the planetary, well, Earth planetary, well, environment and on planetary environment in vacuum. Is it really the same if you have a room there, or an environment here that is in vacuum? Is it the same as when you're out in space? It's not, is it really? Are you really taking into account every single factor? But hey, if they manage to have at least, in most parts, similar outcomes to their in vacuum, to when they're out of orbit um, with their experiments, great. Right. So, when and how is psychology being used correctly if there's specific behavior traits that nowadays are even being accepted? Not only they're being accepted, they're being considered to be of elite traits, of successful traits, so on and so forth. And then in similar schools of thought as it be, they are malignant narcissistic, at least to some degree. And if they continue down that path, then they develop into psychopathic, sociopathic, is it schizoid, some form of, is it a scheme? So I could just even end it there, but I'll try and show some examples. So say you have been brought up, as most of us, to perform well at school, so on and so forth. There's at least some degree of codependency when it comes to that. Because whenever you find private, um, pockets, you will perform narcissistically in advance, whether it's socially or purely academically, so on and so forth. Hey, cheating, that's one, so on and so forth. I presume even some teachers, behind closed doors and stuff, give a tick to some forms of cheating and things of this nature. Just as others would shun upon it, as it's, you got the narcissistic, malignant narcissistic, and codependent style of traits. Now, in my humble opinion, where correct is to allow to talk about these sort of things and to have that venue. And very rare, there is such thing. But yeah, I'm afraid that that sort of era and opportunity is getting less and less. And in my humble opinion, that is where the real progress is. That's where norm is. That's where people that would, without being guided towards that sort of train of thought and so on and so forth, that's where the normal, non-diagnosable, you might have specific traits in terms of not disorder, right? You might be, your strengths might be intellect and sensitivity, or like having sensory, heightened senses. But you don't overdo on one thing or another. And the evidence for that is because no one is going to ask you and make you admit certain things, or bring up and come and partake in communicating and providing with solutions, or being open to being to having communicated solutions to produce better results, to a committee, to a somewhere where these things are talked about. So the now to explain this in more layman's terms, psychology provides for all manner of you know ill, if not somewhat accepted traits, but it doesn't provide for a norm, for normality. And where is the lines between this is where now you're heading towards ill traits and then disorders. And you can see this even in, I mean, Sam Vaknin's very up and honest about it, because narcissism, and to some degree even slight malignant narcissism, obviously healthy narcissism is considered normal. But even that in and of itself, the way culture is, and so on and so forth these days, it's automatically, if you are talking about it, like some people see it, they don't recognize it for what it is, but they consider it to be successful and okay. While others automatically, even just mentioning the word, consider it to be a problem. So we don't have even a word for what is acceptable as it be, and not even, I mean, if even that isn't mentioned, then where are the limits? Just like in a logarithm. And I'll end it there. Cheers.